All right, this is Kai, Anna, and Reardon's seminar presentation, 6th period, question 3, section 2. We're going to be going over selecting and using evidence, building and communicating an argument, understanding and analyzing perspective, and selecting and using evidence.
This section is worth 40% of the grade.
And the suggested time is an hour and a half. We are given 4 sources, and you are asked to find evidence from the sources to write about them. The students are asked to build their own arguments using at least 2 of the 4 provided sources. Each of the 4 sources will explore a common theme through a different lens.
It is recommended to use a minimum of 2 of the 4 sources, and this is because since the sources have different lenses, if you use more of them, it builds a more convincing argument since you have different perspectives.
Using selecting evidence, there's a 2-source minimum, and the argument needs to be backed by reasons that are supported by evidence. You need to be able to interpret and synthesize information from the source.
This is because all of your facts need to be from credible sources and they need to be reliable. So you can't just state a fact, you have to state where you got it from and why it matters. So this is also where the interpreting of the information comes from, because you have to take the information and not only back it up with evidence, but say why it matters and why it is important.
Do not repeat information or arguments, misinterpret sources, or provide little or no support for your argument.
Doing these things would result in points being deducted, and this is a very important section since it is 6 points. So if you only get 2 out of the 6 points, it would hurt your grade. In many instances, 4s are given for the selecting and using evidence section, and this is because they might have a combination of evidence but from a fairly narrow range of sources, or they might have a limited range in terms of discipline, perspective, and source types that focuses much more heavily on one area of the argument.
Building and communicating an argument. The response's line of reasoning is logically organized and complex. It clearly and convincingly links the argument's claims and evidence, and includes insights drawn from the connections between them. So you have to do a very thorough job of building your argument, and it has to make sense and be.
Point will be deducted from the building and communicating an argument section for having disorganized or unsuccessful line of reasoning, which is very important, and also having faulty reasoning. So a lot of thought has to be put into not only your ideas, but how you choose to present them. For this section, it is very important to offer substantial and specific resolutions or solutions to the issue at hand, because although you can have specific claims mentioned throughout the argument, it is the final conclusion that is reached that matters and affects the grade.
Understanding and analyzing perspective connects the sources and identifies and interprets the difference in the sources, contextualizes the writer's perspective within the overall theme, presents a perspective that has not been previously represented in the sources, brings a particularly insightful approach to one of the perspectives, makes a connection between perspectives, do not misstate or overlook the theme or issue that connects the sources, and points deductive if the response's perspective is unclear or unrelated to the sources.
In order to get full credit in the Understanding and Analyzing Perspective section, it is recommended to use the AP Seminar lenses, which are environmental, scientific, economic, political and historical, artistic and philosophical, cultural and social, futuristic, and ethical.
Selecting and using evidence interprets and synthesizes information from at least 2 sources, must develop and support a compelling argument, accurately attributes and effectively contextualizes knowledge and ideas, points deducted for incorrectly or ineffectively attributes knowledge and ideas, line of reasoning is disorganized and or unsuccessful, inappropriately or tangentially links arguments, claims, or.
A big part of this section is attributing and citing all of the sources and information with accuracy and having no mechanical errors in attribution, along with a complete and consistent bibliography. Throughout the section, if you are aiming for a 3 out of 3 in grammar and style, you have to have few flaws in grammar. You have to clearly communicate to the reader your point. Points will be deducted if poor grammar interferes with the communication to the reader. In order to do this, you have to pay close attention to spelling, sentence structure, punctuation, verb tense agreement, and Subject-verb agreement. Points will be deducted in the section if the sentences lack clarity or are difficult to understand, as well as if the flaws in grammar and style interfere with the flow of ideas and the ultimate communication. So basically, in order to get the highest grade possible, you must build a compelling argument that is backed up with evidence and is logically organized and includes multiple perspectives that contextualize the knowledge and ideas from at least two of the sources, as well as having claims that are linked together throughout the argument in a final, clear resolution.